Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's carry on where we left off. The Garradebs have finally made it to the witness stand, ready to testify about their domestic incident that took place on the night Miss Green got stabbed in the back. Likely by a flying knife that got tossed out the window by Mrs. Garradeb. Let's go ahead and try to prove our case to exonerate Mr. Natsume before Mrs. Garradeb retreats back into the jury like the little weasel she is. Alright, nothing really jumped out at me from the get-go. We're probably going to need to press a statement or two. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. I mean, you're not wrong. This is all stuff we learned during our initial interrogation, when we did our dance of deduction with Herlock Sholmes, God bless that man. I can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, Miss Susato, I am aware of the stakes. We have been declared guilty twice. I'm pretty sure we can't afford a third. Yes, I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. You just kind of stated the obvious, you know? I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. I don't care how many people I need to toss under the bus. My client is innocent, damn it! Yes, it would. So for Saseki-san's sake, we must. We must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Well, he's certainly saying that we're probably going to need a poke and prod and draw something else for our court record from these two clowns. Let's go ahead and start by pressing this statement, although we do know the reason. Actually, no. You know what? Let's move on. Let's move on. Picking up whatever you could find to throw at him. That seems like a good start. Even though the room was on fire. You didn't think to pick up a fire extinguisher and instead of throwing it at him, maybe spray the fire. Of course, I don't know if fire extinguishers existed at this particular moment in time. As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. Right. Well, I suppose the flames would have extinguished your anger by, roasting you alive. That's most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't think she was referring to a Susato takedown. That's an entirely different animal, okay? How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? Please be honest, don't you dare think about lying. I'll know. Although I don't have Apollo's bracelet with me at this particular moment. In all honesty, I can't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin. Oh, here we go.
Excuse me.
What on earth did you just grumble about, mister? Do you have something to add, sir? What? You remember a knife? Maybe a close shave as it flew right past your cheek? Mr. Garradeb! Don't shoot! Sorry, I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction. Did she fire the cannon at you? Was she inside it? It was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall. Are you sure it was the fire poker? Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every volley. Oh, God, no, not now. Good grief, woman. We're not at home now. This is a court of law, and why are you pouring it into my pipe?
Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with a teapot in here? At least it's, without a doubt now that these two have their marriage on the rocks, at least from what we've seen.
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir. Had this thing in my hand, as usual, at the time of the onslaught. So you were smoking while your wife was angry. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. Huh, I see. Your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Wow. Yes. You called upon a field medic.
You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. Everything's important. Whenever you ask me this, I'm always going to say something's important. The defense believes Mr. Garadeb's remarks just now to be of great significance. Objection. Why are you objecting? This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? Like, geez, it's out there in the open. Why not just append it?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
Excuse me, she's my assistant, and she's underage. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. The pipe has been entered into the court record. There we go. This is the evidence we needed to draw out. Mr. Garadeb's pipe apparently fell to the floor during a domestic dispute he had with his wife and broke. Tragic. Truly tragic.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo.
Please, Mr. Sato, stop apologizing for this kind of stuff, okay? I need you to step in when I cannot come up with an idea.
I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks to Sato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Let's go ahead and do just that. Oh my god. Looky here, it's the tip of the knife. How the hell did it end up in here? She just poured tea all over it. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there, and it wasn't a star.
Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Surely. It couldn't be. How many more freak coincidences do we need in this freaking case? The fragment of metal has been entered into the court record. This small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Garadeb's pipe. Alright, well, I figure we might as well examine it just in case our evidence updates, and we need to present the updated version. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Garadeb's pipe.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? You don't say.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
I don't really know. And how on earth did the blunt blade get stuck inside Miss Green, you know? There's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again.
Let's do that. And we're back to the knife.
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. I don't know, something's really niggling at me. It's on the tip of my tongue, just like the tip of this blade is missing. You know? It's like we've got it, but we don't. I don't understand. You remember this?
Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garadeb's pipe.
Yes, and just maybe. This knife is a piece of plastic shit because the tip of it just freaking snapped and ended up in some guy's pipe.
Oh my, it's a perfect fit.
Somehow I just knew it. Okay, no updates to our evidence though. Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garadeb. Now if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. That bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You'd have a job proving it, I think. Oh, it's, you know, hardly a day's work, I must say. I'm always nervous presenting evidence now because sometimes it's been so obvious and yet somehow I get hit with a penalty.
Objection!
Done. That's right, you crescent moon head. Mr. Garadeb, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? Used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment, of course. That was some time ago now. Now you just have dead eyes. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh.
Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very duzzy. Come on, Ryunosuke. Jeez. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Precisely. Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garredeb's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? Don't mind me, my lord. I was just preparing myself. I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. It'll slice it right open. Although you have to handle this piece of evidence with care, of course. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Was it extraordinary? Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? Why, the jackknife, of course, my lord.
Take that!
It's missing its tip. This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. God knows how the tip of it ended up in the pipe, but that's what happened, okay? I don't write this stuff. Someone else does. At Capcom, okay? A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. I knew it! It was a flimsy piece of crap! Second-hand piece of garbage. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
Actually, I did a piece of jigsaw just now. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garredeb's pipe. Ah! Oh! Good grief! Lord Van Zeeks, did you just get shot by someone in the gallery? I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Oh my word! Oh, fiddlesticks! Order, order, order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? No, my lord. It's just a common, put the two pieces together, it's like... This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. Yeah, that is one way to describe it. A miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? That this case is fishy. That there's so many contrived coincidences. Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garredeb's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
Yeah, tag team this bitch. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked her clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, she's quivering. She's shaking like a jelly.
Oh, dearie me.
During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garredeb flung this knife at her husband. However, she merely claims that she was trying to extinguish her own flame, so definitely wasn't trying to murder him. No, not at all. The knife missed Mr. Garredeb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord! Yes, you are a good lord. And that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garredeb's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. Yeah, If the lottery existed, I'd definitely buy a ticket right now. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Ugh. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garradeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the streets below.
Oh gosh. Oh dear. Oh. No!
Oh god, she's standing on a box. Of course she is. Don't you object? What is there to object to? Oh, I see. You just wanted to, toast Mrs. Garradeb. A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. It's not a theory, it's a fact, damn it! Seriously, how much more do I need to prove this? A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Yeah, well, I'm about to drench you all in it, okay? I'm about to spill it all over your handsome face. Soak that white freaking... that white suit of yours. Sorry. But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. And by suit, I mean your cravat. I was just trying to find the word for it, okay? It was missing. It was on the tip of my tongue like the freaking blade. Because you see... Oh, God, put your leg down. It's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Hey, don't panic yet, Ryunosuke. We have yet to hear what his random as objection entails, okay? Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her...
That's right, you silly little man.
So they're going to explain, actually, if it flew out the window, it should have landed on the top of her head. But we already know why it's in her back, right? Because the book was in her hand, she obviously bent down to pick it up, because that went out first. Now, Jode, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it would have planted itself into the victim's back. Do you not know physics and gravity, man? Oh! Now it's my turn to get shot. Order! Order!
Quite right. You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well, I have to say, Mrs. Garradeb, you're very predictable. Read you like a book.
He's lost for words, look.
I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know, though, what really did happen. It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. Blunder? If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. It is history, because it's going to go down in history as fact. Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the answer to this, I swear. We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely. By just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words,
We simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand.
Miss Susato, I was half expecting freaking Kazuma to just pop out from the sword and give me advice, like Miyafei does. This ghostly apparition appearing behind me.
You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank.
Exactly. Yes, Susato, tell him you're the greatest cheerleader ever.
But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. What the hell do you think we were just doing? I was huddling with my assistant, okay? We were discussing our next approach. Obviously, I've got something to say. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. Oh no. Ryunosuke, stop burying your head in your hands. No, you can't object while you're in this miserable stance. This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. And I passed tests. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? You're suddenly confident again. There is a piece of evidence at the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer.
Goodness.
Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. For the love of God, I don't know if my heart can handle anymore. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. Yeah. Good call, Judge. This is the last inconsistency. The final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... Now the thing is to present the right one. Do I present the photograph or do I present the book itself? Probably wants to present this one, right? Surely. Surely the picture of it in her hand is what's going to bust this wide open. Let's go ahead and do it.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. Yes! Okay, sorry, I'm just glad I didn't get anything else wrong. That we just stuck with 4 penalties. Remaining, that is. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book? Is that not Mr. Garadeb's book? This is the pursuit theme, right? Oh, it feels so good. Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. I do like how sparingly they have been using this theme. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Ah, objection! He said he found her like that, that's why he did it in the first place. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. Sorry, big smile. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. I mean, say what you will about his transplanting of the crime scene, at least he preserved how it originally looked, right? In other words, the victim had already picked up the book of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. She certainly wouldn't be reading the Lion's Pride. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? She didn't think it was the Bible trying to confess her sins at the last possible moment, did she? By jingo! I've never heard that before. I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
Oh, Van Zeeks, looks like you understand. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw.
Yes, Mrs. Garadeb. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Huh? Would you kick it? Would you look at it? Would you walk past it? No, you'd pick it up.
Well, I really can't imagine it. But I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Damn straight! I mean, yes, that's exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh, Oh, heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? Think about it. Do you want me to do a demonstration right here in the middle of court? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Although she didn't know she needed to be on high alert, of course. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, she got railed by a knife. The next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. It could have been him. Well, I never. It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
Ah!
And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. Truly, God has a sense of humor, all right. And that is the real truth behind this case. Did I win? Did I win? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb? Yeah? Nothing to say? Yeah, that's right. Fantiques, you go tell them off. Their silence speaks volumes.
The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that.
Oh, so now you come out and say it. There, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Garadeb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but...
You threw a fucking knife at your husband! What did you... What? So you didn't expect her to get hurt? You expected your husband to get stabbed in the heart or something? Jesus.
It was all my fault, wasn't it?
And there was a fire in your house as well while we're at it, you know? Like, jeez. This is gross negligence.
I take full responsibility.
At least you're taking full responsibility, you know?
I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear?
It's alright. I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry!
Oh god, she's falling off the box! Oh. Good job, Mr. Garadeb. Oh god, he's struggling, but at least you caught her. Oh no! Did he... So... I'm not gonna ask. Well, juror number 6, please change the color of your flag behind you. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garadeb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. She will simply, in fact, die because I'm the Reaper of the Bailey, and that's what happens. So it doesn't matter how long she takes to recover. I will claim her soul. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. I don't understand why Mr. Garadeb has to prepare himself. He's not the one who threw the knife out. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital, where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. I suppose it helps that the tip of the knife was, basically taken off the knife when it was hurled out the window. That probably paid huge dividends when it comes to Miss Green's survival. And at least it's not a murder charge. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume. You okay? You don't have to be so paranoid anymore. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. As you should. Where's my pardon? You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. Instead, we shocked you and vilified you, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. Please leave a 5-star review on Yelp. And go back to your homeland and tell great stories of us and how we're the greatest city on earth. Country, I should say. London is the greatest city, though, as well. Does he accept your apology?
No, it is me who should be begging your pardon.
Oh, no, Mr. Natsume, please. You know, we'll take this. We expect significant financial reward. No, not reward, sorry. Compensation. Not reward. This isn't something a reward.
That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion.
What conclusion, sir?
I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too.
I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. I mean, there's a knife in her back, she's not moving. And he's in a panic, right? I suppose he could have stayed behind. She could have just collapsed from a heart attack or something, and he could have stopped to help.
It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me.
There's no fog in here, so you're fine. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him.
Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police.
I mean, you live just around the corner.
Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault. You panicked. Okay? Yes, you could have responded better, but I mean, it was a pretty drastic situation that unfolded. You just didn't know what to do. Your brain was as foggy as the city was. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. I think so. Freaking writer. Who wrote this case? You're a mischievous little dastard. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks, and our young lawyer here from the east, I didn't bother to learn his name, it's too long. It's hard to pronounce, you know. At least Lord Van Zeeks is only 3 syllables. That chain has now been broken, and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh, I thought I was just going to take the credit all by myself and split it with Susato. Pretty sure she did more than Mr. Lord Van Zeeks there. Kidding, you know. Prosecutors and defense always have to work in tandem, you know, we're a team to find the truth. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? Hopefully someone explained it to juror number 6, he's hard of hearing. As the foreman of the jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. It's like 5 p.m., dude. I see, I'd have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
There we go. Okay. Just another day's work. Maybe I should be called London's finest. Very well, Mr. Suseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty. Yeah, confetti raining down upon us. Although I can understand why Mr. Natsume is paranoid. The Reaper of the Bailey is around. And finally, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, yes, Lord Sir.
You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me.
Oh yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears.
Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Someone mop all those tears that Mr. Soseki Natsume leaked all over the floor. Alright. Oh, another case in the bag. Oh, it's only 3:17 p.m. Wow. So, I take it the trials in this game only last a day. We don't have another investigation phase, although I swear we had 2 other witnesses present on those streets when we were investigating. I wonder what their involvement was. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber.
Oh, Locum.
Wait, you mean me?
Of course. Is there another Locum here?
Is there even one?
Compared to the original Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
No wonder the judge didn't bother to learn my name. What's wrong with using my actual name?
Oh, at last, I'm free. I'm free. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation. Heady, hearty happiness. Hurrah! Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted.
Would it be so hard just to say that then?
Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink.
Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now.
No, not that. Lovely, loyal Locum lawyer.
Yes? Sheesh, I mean, you know, praise is all well and good, but I take payment in quid.
I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings.
Well, yeah, you're in London. You're in another country. You're the foreigner.
And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you, Locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth.
Alright, I get it. You're obsessed with alliteration.
And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the pierced barrister ever born!"
Well, that's very flattering. We're very pleased for you. This is not going to pay for my hotel room. Okay? I need some sort of compensation.
This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan.
An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? I mean, look at what happened upon the burial. Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Aha! I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. The trial's over!
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you.
I see I'm here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Please don't take credit for it.
Oh.
The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No! Then my haste was in vain. Your haste? What haste? It's 3:17 p.m.
Ah! It's you! Sherlock Sholmes!
Oh? Have we met, sir?
This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom. Either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Well, that's some great deductive work you got going on there, Mr. Sholmes. Charming.
This is all your fault. Herlock Sholmes. He's talking about him like he's a supervillain or something. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Well, God, okay. Way to roast him.
Ah,
Had she been taken to hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now, and she could have exonerated you.
oh.
But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human, after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. You petrified him.
I do feel very badly about how I behaved.
Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? I guess Herlock Sholmes doesn't feel badly about how he's behaved. Soseki just got cancelled.
Nothing. Priceless.
Oh, I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And, it would seem, you were not even found guilty.
But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper!
I think you look more like a Reaper than he does right now. Lord Van Zeeks.
I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I'll protect you.
She'll do a Susato takedown on him. It's really rad.
Hiya! What? No!
Oh, I'm not the freaking Reaper, man.
With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Mr. Susato. Oh, I thought I was going to take a bed next to Miss Green in the hospital. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Well?
Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I've visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honoured with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realise that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. It's very touching, Mr. Natsume.
Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world, to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. Don't get lost at sea, please.
That's not it at all. But maybe a little bit. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own.
Oh, I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. Could be. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? What about us? I'm just starting to establish a reputation, man. I'm gonna be famous. Everyone's gonna want to hire me. Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? We've definitely got another case left in this game.
A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London.
In fact, it's only been like, what, 2 days? 3 days?
And only now does it feel as though we've finally found our feet.
And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us.
I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted.
Okay. I thought it was worse. We can make this work. I just need to learn to play an instrument, and we can busk on the streets.
Well then, you could take my lodgings.
No, I'm good. That place is a freaking dungeon. Oh, the windowless room.
Ah, but what it lacks in windows, It more than makes up for with a floor, ceiling, and walls.
I mean, yeah, I guess shelter's shelter. Great.
And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit.
Yeah, you're really selling this place.
Oh my, an evil spirit. Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. You know, you'll always wake up on time.
We'll
think about it, if that's alright. You know, we'll tuck it, I'll file it away in the back of my mind, we'll put a pin in it. You know?
consider. It's a last resort. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? I don't know what's worse, the windowless room or living with you. Honestly, probably the windowless room. I'm scared to wake up and fucking Herlock shows us like a gecko and he's like clinging to the wall and he just stares at me and he's like, "Good morning, Mr. Naruhodo." And I'm like, "Ah, fuck! Herlock shows, what are you doing in my room?" You know? Stuff like that kind of creeps me out. Or he's gonna like pop out of the toaster or something.
Really?
Well, vacancy has conveniently presented itself. There it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? Is there a window? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. Oh. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of?
Oh, this is simply wonderful. No, we don't have any luggage. We wear the same clothes every day. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words.
Oh, she's so excited. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Great. I guess we have to commit. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist.
I don't know what to say. But thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy.
Well, Locum, I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume, it's been a privilege meeting you two. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. Hopefully, me not defending you again. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hey, come on, Ryunosuke. I think we're pretty successful so far.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author.
Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Shouldn't we wait for my assistant? She's filing the paperwork. Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. That's good news. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221B Baker Street. Oh, this is going to go so well. I mean, it could be worse. This is decent. We can make this work. The attic room, 4:41 p.m., the 20th of February. I read that backwards. I don't know why there's a shovel here. Oh, probably for the for the furnace or the fireplace, whatever you want to call it. So this.
It's to be our new office, yes.
Oh, it's our office. Our office? I rather like the sound of that. Me too, actually.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
I feel like we're like literally at the beginning of our career. We're building it up. From a student, we studied on the way here. We've developed a reputation. We've won 2 cases. Now we're building our own office. Damn, man, this campaign's great. I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh my, wow. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much. Damn, he's looking dashing.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate.
Oh, I thought we traveled together, but okay.
Iris, you must let me help you. All right then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid.
All right. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Oh, really? Couldn't wait to have an adventure with me when you set up your office here, but you didn't know me. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights casts the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. Tell me more. So once again, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London. I'm super excited. I'm super, even though I know this is like towards the end of the first game, I know the second game is possibly even better, and because it's part of this package, like, I cannot wait to jump in. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Oh. Ooh. No ending cutscene this time. I wonder what Van Zieks is up to. Hopefully not plotting the demise of my poor dependent. Landed in London is the achievement unlocked. Next case, heading your way soon.